AACR2R. AACR2R stand for Anglo-American Cataloging Rules, 2nd edition, 2002 revision, and it is based on ISBD standards. There are various standards that mainly used in Malaysia and most countries around the world to organize information packages. These standards can be divided into 3 different categories. Number 1, standards for encoding. Number 2, standards for subject cataloging. And number 3, standards for descriptive cataloging. AACR2R, which includes ISBD formats, fall under descriptive cataloging. However, the nature nowadays, these standards or AACR2R standards have been shifted to RDA as main descriptive cataloging standard for Malaysia and most of the country in the world. As we know that Anglo-American cataloging rules is a description standards. Mainly, these standards being used to describe your information packages which fall into several categories that may be explained later. These standards contain rules that used for constructions of OPEX and other catalogs medium. It covers the descriptions and assignments of access point for all library materials. And AACR2R includes rules for the establishments of headings. For example, under personal names or personal author, corporate names or corporate author, uniform titles, and their geographical locations, which also includes references. Contents of AACR2R consists of 5 elements. Number 1, a brief introductory of the material or of the standards. Part 1, the descriptions of the rules. Part 2, headings, uniform titles, and references. Part 4, appendixes, which includes rules for capitalizations, rules of abbreviations, rule for numerals, rule for glossary, and initial articles. And finally, AACR2R manual attached with an index. After a general descriptive chapter in AACR or the brief introduction just now, other descriptive chapters cover different kinds of materials or patterns of publication. This will be discussed in part 1 or chapter 1 of the manual. It consists of section 1, general rules for descriptions. Section 2, books, pamphlets, and printed sheets. Section 3, or Rule 3, cartographic material. Rule 4, the manuscript, which includes a collection of manuscripts. Rule number 5, musics. Rule 6, sound recordings. Rule 7, motion pictures and video recordings. Rule 8, graphic materials. Rule 9, electronic resources. Rule 10, three-dimensional artifacts and realia. Rules 11, microforms. Rule 12, continuing resources. And Rule 13, analysis and descriptions of parts of the analysis. This is the example of Chapter 1 or Rules 0.7, which introduce the use or how to use the manual. Organizations of the description for rules number 1. Rule number 1 consists of title and statements of responsibility, editions or versions, material or types of publication in specific details, publications and distributions, physical descriptions, series, notes, and standard numbers and terms of availability. And if you notice, organizations of the descriptions in rules number 1 align with the ISBD standards, the age area. This is the example of how to apply each rules in descriptions or in descriptive cataloging process. In this slide, each rules or each area represented by using a tagging number. For example, title proper using 245, statement of responsibility using the same number 245, edition statement 250, publication 260, physical description 300, series 490 and 830, general notes 500, and standard number 020.